Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us for Let's Talk Schools with Superintendent Dr. Mike Looney. I'm Carol Birdsong, Communications Director for Williamson County Schools, and our guest for the next 30 minutes is Dr. Deb Enright, who is new to the district and who is serving as the district's grant writer. Welcome, Deb, to the program.
Thank you, Carol.
And we are excited that you have joined our team. Not only do you bring a sense of energy and excitement to the school district, but you're kind of smart as well. And we like that and need that. And you're going to do great things for us, we know. So, as we get started, we want to introduce you to the viewers in Williamson County, because while you are a Williamson County resident, everybody might not know you. So give us your background. You've been around a while here.
I've been here about 10 years, and it really has gone very, very fast. I came from the Washington, D.C. area. I grew up there, went to school up in New York, and then when I came down here, I was a stay-at-home and just wanted something to do to keep my mind stimulated, so went into a master's program at Vanderbilt at Peabody, and then they were kind enough to put me in the doctoral program for education policy. So I graduated from there a couple years ago, and it was a great way to keep my mind interested in things, but also as a parent made me, I think, a little bit more understanding of what the classroom might be about, as well as maybe how to navigate for my two girls, you know, how they could get the most out of their classroom experience and their school experience.
And you are a parent.
I am.
Of Williamson County students.
I am. I have a senior, Casey, and a freshman, Caroline, at Brentwood High School.
So you're invested in many ways.
I am.
Not only as an employee, but as a mom.
It wasn't a prerequisite, but it certainly is an added benefit.
Well, we're thrilled with the system. Last night was the back to school.
Yes, it's that time of year, back to school.
It is that time of year as the fall kicks off, and I think I just found that it is amazing to me how much the faculty and the administration are willing to give parents who've been through the ropes as a senior parent and those who are just coming on board.
Right.
And I think it gave great satisfaction. Lots of questions were answered. You got to see the flow of the kids' days, and I think it gives comfort as well.
Those events are very helpful, I think, especially at the high school level, to go through and just get a snapshot of what your child's going through every day. Dr. Looney, you put this position into the budget this past year because you felt it important to, well, the board in its strategic planning wanted to look for alternative ways of funding. So the grant writer position is going to help us accomplish one of the board goals. In that regard, why do you feel like a grant writing is needed for Williamson County Schools?
Well, the reality of it is, in a system such as ours, where we continue to grow and have needs, we recognize that we have to look for alternative ways of funding some of those needs, and we needed a really, really smart person to come on board, and you know, I'm not trying to give you a big head, but the truth is we found the smartest person that we could. Deb is absolutely brilliant and is a very good writer, and our district has needs, so she's going to help us identify potential funding sources to meet some of those needs. She's hit the ground running. It's a big job. It's a lot to learn. A lot of rabbit trails to go down, sometimes with dead ends, but I've been really amazed at her tenacity and her commitment to finding and helping teachers and principals find resources as well. So, you know, we did it in Williamson County because we have needs that are unmet, and we can't ask the taxpayers to give us everything, so we're going to try to do our part and try to find some of those grant monies out there that are difficult for districts such as ours to get. You know, usually grants are targeted for at-risk school districts. We're not. We're a very high-achieving school district. They're typically targeted towards poorer communities. We're not. So we have needs, and we don't have a good way of getting those needs met sometimes. But we have an expert on staff, and so Deb is our go-to person.
And it's a challenging job. You have hit the ground running. You've already established, I know you're meeting with this group and meeting with that group and all the players in the school district. So talk about some of the groups you have met with, and we'll just kind of baby step through this and and try to explain to the viewers what you're doing.
Okay, well, first of all, let me start off with when I met with the leadership in the central office. I think the thing that touched me the most was that there was a desire to be a good steward of the school's money, which I, as a parent and as a taxpayer, took great comfort in. And so initially, some of what I've been doing is putting together kind of processes and procedures. So we kind of know what's out there and making sure that if grants have come in, because some schools do have grants, that we understand under, what guise it's come under and then how it's being distributed. So that stuff, that kind of groundwork is what I did initially. So we have, those standard operating procedures now and a couple more forms for the teachers and administrators to fill out, but it's all very easy and very cool, and it'll make their work a lot simpler. But now we're going through a variety of sources to find out how we can provide resources for the innovation that's going on in Williamson County. Dr. Looney's absolutely right. We are a very fortunate community, and so are our schools. And so for us, there are funders out there who are looking for that cutting edge kind of program or that cutting edge commitment to individualized instruction, the use of technology, bringing world language curriculums into the school classroom in a variety of ways. And so that's a really cool charge to have because it means that whatever we can dream up, we can try to go look for funding. We have a tremendous interest and participation in the fine arts, which continues to grow. So next week, actually, I'll work with some of the bands in the middle school and the PTOs to see if they can cultivate their story to put in front of a funder so that they can initially work on getting more instruments, but then see what other ways they can grow their program. As we have looked at the data in terms of the feeding of these younger classes into these middle school fine arts programs, we just see a tremendous growth. And so it's now incumbent upon us to go out and find the tools that are necessary for that particular classroom, which happen to be tubas and trumpets and timpani. So that's a very exciting thing to do. One of the other things we're doing is trying to disseminate the information kind of through the divisions or through the departments, the academic departments. So we've just worked with the science department to make sure that a grant information goes out so that individual teachers can then put forth their story about their innovative practices and then what kind of equipment they'll need to make sure that they're challenging their top kids. And so then we're going to start to have those discussions as well. So my job is to find it, just like Dr. Looney said, but it's also to empower and enable folks who are very busy in the classroom to maybe think about how they might create something new for their students or make it even more challenging than it already is, write that story, and then we go to try to find some funding for it.
So it sounds like you're actually working at all different levels, from even possibly the small to the largest. I guess I'm looking at a dollar amount. So is that accurate? You're looking at even small grants for those individual teachers and then into bigger?
I think that's right. I think that we all know that we have some extremely gracious vendors like a Target or a Walmart who will give small dollar supply grants to teachers, and that's all very helpful. It's important for our faculty to understand that that's a great skill set for just their professional life, to be able to write their story and have funding. But I think we're trying to look on a larger scale as well, either for the individual teacher, for the department in a school, or for the district. So, and I think also since it's new for us, we're kind of looking at everything to see where the best fit is, because there will be some grants out there that sound wonderful, may even have a couple commas in them, but it may not work with what we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, another avenue that we haven't tapped into previously, and Deb is working on a strategy to do this, is there are many people in our community that have a a long history of giving, whether it's to a charity or to some other organization that's very worthy. Well, the reality of it is school donations, financial donations are deductible as well. And so we would like to figure out how we tell the wonderful story about Williamson County. And I think one of the things that we do very, very well is we put the dollars that we have available to us to very good use. And so we want to be able to tell that story and show the community and our gift givers the kinds of things that happen with their dollars. It is absolutely, I mean, breathtaking, some of the things that our kiddos do. You know, whether it's somebody has donated a laptop to a student that needs a laptop, or somebody sponsoring a trip for the band to go to the Macy's parade, or whatever it might be. There are so many moving parts to a district our size that only move because we have supporters in the community, and whether it's the corporate world that's giving, or whether it's a private citizen that's writing a check, not necessarily even having kids in our school system, just saying, you know, I want to be part of something that's bigger and than I am as an individual, and I want to do something to improve our community that we live in. And so we've got to continue to reach out and tell our story, and that's one of the things I think Deb does so well, is help us tell our story.
Okay. Let's talk about some nuts and bolts kind of things, because I'm still trying to kind of wrap my arms around exactly what you know, teachers will get out. You've mentioned, you know, teacher grants to the programs, and then even the parents, that you're actually getting the parents involved in these grant seeking opportunities. Why is that important, I guess, to get everyone?
Well, we're a community. So the school community is not just kind of the site bases of the high schools and the middle schools and the elementary schools. And I think what we're trying to do with this position and with this new mindset of seeking alternative funding is to establish connections and bridges. The reality is, nationally, the ability for counties and cities and locales to fully fund their schools is going to start to dissipate simply because of the economy. I'm sure it will bounce back, but at this point we need to be very smart about that. There are lots of folks who would love very much to be a part of the school community but aren't sure how, and aren't necessarily sure where the needs are. Who better to tell them than the school district? And I think that our community has shown, not only in what we do for folks who aren't even a part of our community in terms of helping with natural disasters or helping our own when they need help. I think that there's a lot of folks out there that are just waiting to understand where they can plug in, either in terms of their time and their talent, or, and more importantly, maybe right now, their treasure. So I think that's what we're going to be able to do through this seeking of alternative funding. It's also seeking alternative ways to be connected to those people who years ago may have held a kindergartner's hand to walk into scales, and maybe haven't even been on a campus for a while.
And we do know in Williamson County the majority of our residents do not have children in our school district, but yet they are the taxpayers. And it sounds like you're trying to connect to those residents too who've been away from the school district for a while.
You know, that's a perfect way to describe it. And it's also a national trend. I mean, that's just what we're finding. There's more folks who are kind of past that system and onto other things than there are who are in the current K-12 system. And I think what is going to be the most fun is to get those folks with all of that experiential knowledge involved, because there's no need to keep reinventing the wheel. I mean, you know, things have been done before that are still current and still necessary today, maybe with the tweaking of a little 21st century something, but how wonderful to have a small child have the ability to learn how to read with somebody who is decades their senior. I mean, it really is a wonderful thing for a community, for those children to feel that it's not just my folks, it's not just, you know, my neighborhood, but everybody cares about me doing my best in the schools.
Well, suddenly I'm feeling very good about the hire that we have. The passion that you bring to the table. I think that's one of the things that makes our school district such an exciting place. We have people such as Deb and you, Carol, that are here, that are passionate about the work and committed to the boys and girls. People, I was entertaining a superintendent in the district today, and they were asking about our success. And if people just look around at the quality of employees that we have, the people that are purposeful about the work and committed to the vision of the district that the board has created from the strategic plan. It's just an exciting time, and Deb is going to help us acquire some of those much needed resources, as you said, whether it's a tuba, a laptop computer, or we talked yesterday about paving. You know, we have acres and acres of asphalt in parking lots in all of our schools. We've got 41 campuses and literally acres and acres of asphalt parking lots, and you can just imagine the maintenance and upkeep and dollars and resources it takes to maintain those. And so yesterday we started having a conversation about how do we replace some of that asphalt with more eco-friendly surfaces like paving stones. And so Deb has started you know, looking for resources and funding. You know, how can we tap into someone that's interested in protecting the environment at the same time having good services for boys and girls in a creative way. And so all kinds of opportunities.
And that's probably a good day-to-day when you said what are the nuts and bolts. So Dr. Looney's been very good and diligent about getting me around to understand the district and understand some of the needs, and I'm still learning. But yesterday's conversation was terrific. It was, okay, here's a need, and it's not something that's going to attract all those kind of cool, you know, foundations, but how can we make it so that it benefits our kids? So we started talking about these permeable pavers. Maybe you've heard of them. They look really attractive, but they're really a smart way to instead of using asphalt and concrete, to repave, if you will, these parking lots. So what I did as soon as the meeting was over, I went and just started searching on the internet and made some phone calls and even talked to some school districts who had received grants from it. And this is the partnership I'm talking about. It's not just in the community. I mean, school folks love to help school folks. And that's what I learned yesterday. So that's the nuts and bolts. They find something that they find interesting and need some funding for, and so we just go out and see what we can do.
You do a lot of research.
I do quite a bit of research.
You're going to have, I mean, you would have to, right?
Yeah, you have to kind of figure out, I mean, we don't know what the playing field is, and so we need to get smart on that. We are learning what the variety of sources are, and we also know it still takes a nice conversation on the phone or in person, as well as sending off some humongous document after, you know, you press the submit button. So there's a variety of ways, and you're trying to get your hands around what I do, and I am too. So we're all in this together kind of learning, but it is a vast opportunity, and I think what we know is that success will be rewarded in these, particularly down this avenue, and so we're ripe for some really, I think some really, really good times.
Well, and see, I've learned a lot just sitting here talking to you. It's not just about all the education-y, you know, type of things that we would think of, but, you know, when you brought up asphalt, I mean, you know, so everything from supplies to tubas to asphalt, who would have thought, you know, so.
Well, and the truth of it is the pavers that we were just describing, they're very environmentally friendly, and so instead of having a lot of storm water runoff running across the asphalt, the water seeps in between the pavers and just drains like as it would in grass. So those kinds of things are good for the community because it produces less storm water, you know, in the community. So we're trying to work really hard on being smart about how we invest the dollars that we have and attracting new dollars to worthy causes. And you know, Williamson County has a rich history of being successful academically and lots of other areas, and to keep that tradition alive, to continue to make this community a vibrant place to live where people want to, you know, spend their lives and their treasures. We've got to continue having those important conversations about how do we do things smartly and perhaps differently at times.
Innovative.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the taxpayers of Williamson County appreciate that. Let's talk about another thing I think they'll appreciate is your work for the Education Foundation. We are bringing it back, and you are in charge. So, talk about that, because you've been busy working on that as well. And again, it's part of the strategic plan to find different sources of revenue for the school district. So, and you've been busy.
Right. So the foundation could be another fundraising arm, and could be a way to put money into supplies, teacher professional development, and programs. Or it could be this ability to create, as we've said before, bridges to different segments of the community. It could be a way for us to advocate in some way for a school system that is filled with innovation. It could also be a way to just communicate to our local folks, as well as maybe on a more national scale, this is who we are. And these are the commitments we have from our community to build even stronger schools. You know, it's great to have great scores. It's great to have high achievement. We have a faculty that works very, very hard, and a school leadership that I think 24/7 is their model. At least that's what I've seen since I've been here. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. But it's not just about the test, and it's not just about the homework, and I mean, it's larger. You know, what I understand from Dr. Looney is we want kids who are ready to succeed at college and have fun at college, to make a difference in the world, and to find careers that will challenge them and cause them to continue to learn. And so the foundation will allow that, because it will cause us to think more broadly than getting pencils and laptops. How can we partner with maybe one of the companies that's situated right here, or maybe even a larger foundation that's doing kind of, you know, internationally cool stuff? How can we connect with that? How can we make it so that folks who have been out of the system or never involved in the public education system for whatever reasons their choices were, how do we pull those guys in? How do we pull those talents in? So I think it will certainly do stuff that has to do with raising money, but I think it's going to be raising awareness. I think it's going to be saying, hey gang, we've got some great stuff going here. We'd like to share our story. And then also it's an outreach again about how can you get involved. We're all in this together. We need you.
And you're talking it could be this, it could be that, because you're just getting started.
Exactly. We, in fact, have, as the fall begins, we are having strategic plans with a steering committee. And that steering committee is working very hard with the nuts and bolts. Why are we here? What do we hope to accomplish? What are our measures of outcome? So it's not just, hey gang, I think this sounds great. Why don't we talk to a couple banks and a couple real estate firms and see if we can get some checks written. It really is about why are we here? I think that was one of the best questions that one of the committee just asked. He was very interested in being involved, but it's like, I'm not really sure exactly where we're going with this. This is what I understand foundations to be, and I'm cool with that. But so, I mean, putting that all together, it's so creative. There are no boundaries yet. There are incredibly committed people who truly believe that this is a way to make us a nationally recognized school system in the academics, the arts, and the athletics. And that's a great room to be in, quite frankly, with all that energy. So,
you know, another thing about it is, I think Deb had mentioned, a lot of times people want to contribute or they want to participate in some way and they really don't know how to go about it. And so the Education Foundation is going to give them that conduit to know that their money is going to be put to good use for a worthy cause that's part of the district strategic plan. And so often, you know, if you look at public schools, you know, they're struggling and they're you know, trying to make ends meet about the academic part of the work, and they don't think about the whole child. We have the luxury of doing really, really well academically, and we can really focus on the whole child. Fine arts, dance, music, foreign language. And so if there are citizens out there that are interested in giving to a worthy cause, that you know, it's not all we're just patching holes and trying to stop the bleeding for a system that's proven over time to do a really good job with the limited resources that we have, then I would propose that Williamson County would be a worthy cause.
Well, and I think it's also one of those things where folks did for you. I mean, the generations that came before you made sure that the best schools were built, that the best faculty possible was put in there, that the best programs have been put in place. And they've worked really hard. And so now really for the current families or the ones coming up, it's really about making sure that almost in a pay it forward way, right, that you get on board and you make sure that that continues because somebody did it for you before.
Do you have a timeline established?
For the foundation? I think that with the energy of this group, and I think because the need is, it's not as though we're scraping by, and it's not as, but it is true that faculty are making it work with what they've got versus maybe what they need. I really think with the folks that are in that room and the commitment that just the general community has voiced to them, that by the end of this year we will have that framework and probably the legal things that need to be constructed in place, and then begin to search for staff at the start of 2013. And I would say a launch, I mean a really formal, like here we are, here's the person you can contact, here's our objectives, goals, missions, and all that stuff, certainly in the first quarter of next year, which is really exciting.
And not that far away.
It's not. We have plenty of work to do, but as I said, that energy, I think, everybody's really primed to work as hard as possible to get it right the first time.
So Deb, if anyone watching has questions about grants or the Ed Foundation, can they contact you?
I would love it.
Okay.
Because whatever questions they ask me will cause me to ask them questions back, and we'll both be better for the conversation. I'll learn more about how to get folks engaged, which I would love to have that opportunity.
Want to give out your contact information then?
Sure. Well, I can give you out the email because I might mess up the phone number. That's unless okay. You can help me. I guess the general...
Well, they can just call the 4000 number.
Yeah, they can call the 4000 and I'm sure they can find me that way. The email is Deborah.Enright. And I'm going to spell that because there's different ways for Deborah. And it's all lowercase, DEBORAH.ENRIGHT at wcs.edu.
Or call 472-4000 and they will find Deb for you.
Oh, I'd love to hear from them.
Very good, very good. Now, as we wrap up, I want to tell everybody that you are going to be out having some Let's Talk School meetings. And we're doing a little different this year. We're going to have 2 in the fall and 2 in the spring.
Right.
And
love the Let's Talk Schools meetings. Those are meetings where the community can come out and have dialogue with myself and the board. Encourage folks to come out and participate. Those are always fun.
Okay. We want folks to do that. October 30th is our first one at Centennial High School. And then November 1st at Independence High School, and those meetings will run from 6 to 7:30. So we hope folks come out and get to meet you, Dr. Looney, and meet members of the board, ask questions and such. So we're hoping by doing it some in the fall and some in the spring, we get some good participation.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Okay. Deb, so glad you could spend some time with us today, and excited about all of your adventures, and can't wait to see all of the wonderful things that you could accomplish for Williamson County Schools.
Thanks, Carol.
Okay, and you can come back again and we'll talk more as we get things, as you get all those grants.
That'd
done.
be fun.
Okay, very good. Thank you for joining us for Let's Talk Schools.